This is James Street. I used to live on James Street, and I used to walk up this street, and this is where I first saw Bruce as he came out from the Ruby Chow and walked up to this corner, across the street, and started down Broadway. This is the street that I walked along and on my way to Edison Tech, and right here is where I noticed Bruce, and I used to get in front of him and kick the telephone poles, which are gone now, and trying to impress him. And then one day I walked up and I asked him if he was Bruce Lee and if he did Kung Fu, and he said yes. And then I asked him if he'd teach me, and he said yes. And that was the beginning. And follow this, Broadway goes right up to where Edison Tech is. Okay, now this is Salem Community College Central Campus, which used to be Edison Technical. Here in this little enclave is where I got my first workout with Bruce on that first day when he agreed to teach me. This building used to be attached to another building that looks similar. Now this is all new. Okay, right here is where our apartment used to be, where Ed Hart, Howard Hall, and I used to live. It was also the first place that I got my first real lesson from Bruce. That night he came down, 6 o'clock, and I guess I became an official student. This road that now comes off Interstate 5 used to be a road that would go right over the hill to Chinatown. So when we finished working out, that's where we would go. Yeah, this is one of the restaurants we used to go to all the time. At that time it was called the Lin Yin, and it was one of Bruce's favorite hangouts. Oops. This is a store where Bruce used to buy a lot of magazines and browse through a lot of magazines. It's changed now, but he used to have books from Hong Kong and stuff like that. Now it's some other kind of store. It's a place where we used to go for dim sum. They had really good pastries here, and Bruce really liked this place. At the time, the name of the place was the Gim Ling. Now it's changed to the China Gate. This is one of the Benevolent Association halls. Actually, we saw some demonstrations here, Bruce and I, from Taiwan. We also used to work out behind the place. This is an area where we used to work out. Of course, at the time, this was all dirt. Now it's concrete, but it's right behind the Benevolent Association. on a gate, and you can see the old sign. It says Gimli. This is the Ho Ho Seafood Restaurant. This is where we had our first school. There were 10 of us, including Bruce. And we paid $10 a month dues. Anybody who came after that was supposed to pay $15, but Howard had to go back east, and pretty soon we couldn't afford this place, so we left here. That's when we started practicing in Leroy Garcia's front yard. It's the old Hong Kong restaurant, another place where we used to eat, and a place where Fook Young later was a cook. As I said before, Fook Young taught Bruce a lot of forms from other Kung Fu styles. Okay, this was Atlas Cafe. This is the Atlas Cafe. This is one of our favorite places. And the guy who used to run this place was an old guy who was really pretty cranky, and we'd go in there and he got around to waiting on us when he felt like it. But they had really good food, so we'd go here quite a bit. Katong, one of our favorite haunts, is still here. And Bruce used to like to order oyster sauce beef, also tomato beef, and fresh fried or deep fried spare ribs. And Bruce was a voracious eater. He could eat a lot, but he never gained weight. This corner, this is in front of the apartment house where these pictures of the celebration after Ed's wedding came from. It's now a parking lot, but it used to be an apartment house. This corner I used to work out with Bruce a lot. We'd stop, and sometimes we'd get so hung up that he'd forget that he had to go, you know, do his job down the street at Ruby Chow's. Right about here is the fence where this, or used to be the fence where this picture was taken. Also, the pictures for Bruce's first book were taken right here. To the left, now this is a parking lot, but this is on the corner down there. This is where the Ruby Chow restaurant used to be. Ruby Chow's used to sit right over there, and that's where Bruce lived, the top floor, and also that's where Fook Young lived for a while. Fook Young was a cook who taught Bruce a lot of different things from a lot of different styles. Behind Ruby Chow, Bruce used to have his wooden dummy. Came up this road many a times, taking Bruce up here to practice. And a lot of times Bruce used to come after school. He'd come over here with me, and then I'd drive him back into town. So Bruce spent a lot of time over here. This is Madison Park. It's another place where we used to work out. Actually, this is a place I wrote about where Richard Leong, the Charlie Fat Man, zipped up and down the field and kind of amazed everyone. Yeah, Bruce used to teach in the basement of this place. And like I said, the man who, I think he was a Boy Scout master here, he was from China. He showed Bruce the Jeet Kune, and I think that's where Bruce got part of his name for Jeet Kune Do. This is where Bruce used to come over and send me flying around my apartment. And this is where I lived when he came over with Brandon and showed me his newborn son. Of course, the apartments are no longer here. And one of the reasons I lived here was because right behind here, you see this building. This is Ciel Dojo. This is a place where I used to practice judo. This is Ciel Dojo. This is where I got my second degree black belt, 1962. This is also the place where I was training one night and Bruce came up with a friend of his from Hong Kong whose father was a famous Kung Fu man. I wrote about him in my book, Between Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do. This man's father would never teach him Kung Fu, so he became an acrobat, and he was touring through Seattle and hooked up with Bruce, and Bruce brought him down for me to meet him. Over here, there used to be a building. This was Collins Playfield, and there was a building here that Bruce and I used to practice in. We could go upstairs in the gym. Now the building is gone, but they've created a little park out of this. Okay, we're at the grave of my good friend Edward C. Hart, who was Bruce Lee's second student and one of my closest friends. And it really bothered me when he died. But my son was gracious enough to give me the site right next to his, so I know that when I die, this is where I'll be, right here with Ed over there. And if you follow this up, and it's not that far away from where Bruce Lee is, if we just walk over this way, here we are at the side of Brandon and Bruce Lee.